welcome to Cult Macabre, a phantasmagoric guide to pop culture's dark side. I'm Richie.
And I'm Lee.
And this week we are talking about the 1993 comedy film My Boyfriend's Back, directed by Bob Balaban, produced by Sean S. Cunningham. Yes, the Friday the 13th creator Sean S. Cunningham, scored also by Henry Manfredini, who also scored Friday the 13th. Now I know what you're thinking right out of the gate. Wow. With these kind of names attached, you can't go wrong. I mean, not to mention this film also has like some small roles from Matthew McConaughey and Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace. And you also are probably going like, where are they at in this movie? One of them, if you blink, you'll fucking miss it. And one of them is an even shorter time on camera, but you can't miss it because of who it is.
And it's such a good character too. And I would go so far as to say this is a zombie flick. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
And it's definitely like a horror comedy.
It is. It is actually all three of those things. It is a zombie horror comedy film.
Yes. And as a kid in the 90s, I remember seeing like the theatrical release posters and like the front cover of the VHSs like around every once in a while, but I never actually saw this movie until this year. So this was my first watch of this one, and I was not disappointed at all.
Yeah, this is my umpteenth watch of this because, fun fact for anybody that does not know, maybe if this is your first time listening to our show, historically on this show, I've mentioned that my family owned a video store. Yes, remember in the 1980s and the 1990s when you could go to a store and you could rent VHS copies of films and take them home and watch them, and then you returned them maybe like 3 or 4 days later before you got a late fee?
Before you got the late fee. That never happened for me. It was late always.
So you own a lot of like...
Let's not get into how I got my copy of Yellow Submarine.
You own a lot of illegal copies of movies.
I will neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
You wouldn't download a late fee, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I owned a screener copy of this film. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages out there, gays, theys, everybody, a screener copy of a film is when a proprietor such as a video store would receive an advanced copy to decide, do we want to carry this in our store or not?
Do we want to play it on the televisions in the corner while you shop?
We definitely did, and I definitely took this shit home.
Is that how you consumed most of your media around that age? Was literally just watching whatever was in the store for you?
Yeah, pretty much. And it broadened my horizons to everything. And that's probably why I watch as much film as I do. And it's like, it was a good product of the environment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I loved being able to discover gems like this. My Boyfriend's Back is considered to be like some would call it a so bad it's good. Some would call it a cult film, which I would classify it as a cult film because it does definitely have like a small following of people that know what this movie is. However, it is obscure enough that it's like if you showed somebody this, they're like, oh my God, maybe I've seen this on TV. Or I remember seeing a poster for this in 1993 when it was getting released, because this is a 33-year-old movie now.
God, that made me feel old. Shit.
And it's good. And the film is actually a title of the same name by this song that the Angels did called My Boyfriend's Back. I mean, it was famously used in the trailer. Now, the movie was actually called Johnny Zombie before they changed the name to this. And in the film, in one section, they go to a movie and the title of the movie they are seeing is called Johnny Zombie. So that's kind of like, we're going to put the old title up in there. Anyway, this film is not like terrible. You know, like people would probably look at this at surface value, be like, what the fuck is going on? But if you kind of fall into the humor, because I think that's what sticks out the most about this, it is most definitely a 90s humor kind of thing where, don't put too much stock into what's happening, because there are some things that are so fucking absurd that you kind of, if you do question, you're like, well, is this really happening? Is any of this really happening? Like, what's going on? But the gist is Johnny Dingle, who was our main character, played by Andrew Lowery, falls in love at a very young age with a girl named Missy McCloud, played by Traci Lind, and he comes up with a way to ask her to prom because, like, she works at a convenience store, and he hatches this plan with his friend to have his friend pose as a robber, and he's going to save the day, and he's going to ask Missy to prom.
And of course, that doesn't go according to plan. Because shortly after he goes in and starts to kill time by continuously adding items onto the counter.
Time kills him instead.
Yeah, no kidding. This other guy rolls up in a car and sees the friend outside in the mask with the gun And he goes, what are you going to do? Rob the store? And basically robs him of his items so that he could go in and then rob the store.
Poor Eddie.
And of course, Johnny, not knowing that the swap has happened, continues on with his, brave plan of, saving the girl and then getting the girl. Except, of course, it goes awry. He gets himself shot. And with his last few moments of life, he's talking to Missy about wanting to go to prom with her. And she says, yes, of course, I will go to prom with you.
Yeah, she just had this, sure.
Yeah, like she was clearly like uncomfortable and caught in a very awkward situation and shit was happening. But that was basically the last thing he heard before he bit the dust.
I laughed my ass off at this fucking shot though, because he's like, cool, thumbs up, and he flat falls into the camera, and it's an immediate like shot to his funeral. This is the part of the movie where it starts getting like really, like kind of like hokey, kooky, like
crazy, just wild.
Yeah, so I want to also talk about the fact that Edward Herrmann plays his father, who was also very famously the father of the vampire coven in The Lost Boys.
Instantly recognizable.
The humor kind of lands a little like Edward Scissorhands in some spots for me.
It's like between that and like Army of Darkness, like I get that same like dark comedic gist to it, and it works so well for the film. Like, people can say what they would like about it. There are people who think it's so bad it's good. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's the acting in it is just so well done and so off the cuff, and they do such a good job. I'm telling you, it was hysterical to me. I just took it as it was and thought it was amazingly well done.
It's a good popcorn movie, and also like the humor switches from very dry humor to slapstick to observational humor, dick jokes. Like, you have to understand, again, 1993, this is kind of the peak of like coming out of the 80s, where they had a bunch of like teen sex comedies like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds and shit like that. So some of that humor kind of carries over here, but I think it's very minor comparatively speaking, because those are like R-rated films. This is a PG-13 movie. So they kind of like edge the comedy in there a little bit with that, but it is sort of wholesome in a way, because they show the family dynamic with Johnny and his parents, which is very positive.
Yeah, so Johnny obviously rises from the dead the next day and is popping up as a zombie. He's warned by the gravedigger, who takes this very nonchalantly, which, again, the nonchalance is fucking hysterical, because obviously this is such a wild situation, and just warns them that, if you leave the graveyard, bad shit's gonna happen. I'd stay here if I were you. First place he goes is home. And, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, Johnny. And then there's like, whoa, wait a second. And they just completely take it into stride that their son is back and his skin is grayed out and he's got a bullet hole in his chest, obviously dead. And they're just like, let's make you food. Let's, you can go to school and just go back to normal life. Maybe we should call the doctor, actually. They were the most supportive parents in almost any film I've seen.
Right. And then like he goes back to school, and just everybody at school like kind of reacts the same way. Nobody is real. Like they're kind of like side-eyeing him, but they're not like even his teacher, and then Eddie like does a double take, and then so does Missy. And then he continues asking her about prom and her boyfriend Buck, who's played by Matthew Fox, who was most notably in Party of Five for like 6 years in the 90s, like really after this, because it started, he landed the role in Party of Five a year after this movie came out. So this was like pre-popular Matthew Fox, and he was also in the series Lost.
Oh, that one's familiar, yeah.
Yeah, so again, there are a lot of people in this movie that were in small roles that went on to do much bigger things than the main two stars, which is really kind of how the cookie crumbles in some of these situations with these movies. But anyway, like he's around asking about prom, and she's like, oh, I only really told you I'd go because you were dying. And he's like, you're afraid of what they might say because I'm the dead kid. They're treating it really humorously. He's like, people are so like, what did he say? He's like, people have something against like zombies and the undead and all this other shit.
They do also casually mention that someone else apparently rose from the dead like 15 years previous, and it's just become like this local thing. So that's just a whole side story in and of itself.
Yeah, because there's like a local town doctor named Dr. Bronson, and he is basically like trying to study his flesh because Johnny's like, man, I need to like I need to not rot before prom happens, because he eventually goes on a date with Missy. And I think it's actually heartwarming watching these two, even though the situation is fucking hilarious as far as like it's a dead dude and a chick. The way that they kind of pull this off is really like,
it's cute chemistry.
Yeah, it definitely is. Because like there's like a little dialogue happening whenever he's like showing her like, oh, eat these jujubes, they're really good. Like they're at the movie theater. And she's like, I'm having a problem, with them sticking in the back of my teeth. And he's like, take a sip of this. And she's like, what? He's like, just take a sip. And she drinks it. And he's got this real excited, like, there's something magical happening in your mouth right now. Because he's excited about the combination of like the flavors and shit. And that's the charm of this, is that it's not like, this dude is not after her to like get in her pants. Although like that is very like implied that it, every teen has like these fantasies and shit. Every child, every kid, like, growing up into that era of their life, they had these fantasies and shit. But at the heart of it, it's this dude that's literally been madly in love with this girl since they were literally 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old.
I also want to point out that throughout the movie, Johnny's character is doing like an overlaying narration. And I really enjoyed it because it's a super biased narration. Like, oh, my friend joyfully went along with my plan, when actually the friend was like being like, this is a stupid fucking idea. What are you doing?
Yeah, Eddie was like, you should probably get help, dude. Just being a shit about it. Yeah, and the narration is also coupled with making it look like an old pulp horror comic. And I love that so much. Some of the scenes are actually sketched with like voice bubbles and then thought boxes and
comic sketches. And they do a good job with it. I like the bouncing back and forth with the media.
Yeah, it really helps to suspend the disbelief. You know what I mean? Like it's a fantasy element to it, but it's good. And there's a lot of other side characters in the town. Like you have like all these people that are like, especially Missy's father, who is the town sheriff. He's just like, yeah, my daughter's not going out with no dead kid or whatever. And he's like, hey, man, he's like,
which I got to say, I am still convinced that is the actor who plays Hop from Stranger Things in Another Life, because that man looks so close to him. It like just his physical appearance, it actually threw me off, and I had to Google and make sure that it wasn't him.
I want to talk about Johnny's mom. She's just this real, like, kind of quiet spoken, but this mom is gun toting, which I think is fucking funny, because you have a couple of town rednecks that come over and they're just like, hey, man, we just want to talk to the zombie. I mean, we just want to talk to Johnny. Like, they just fucking, they come in with the shotguns and they fucking shoot him. And he's just like, hey,
quit.
He's like, quit it. You shot me,
And Dad's like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. It's not very effective.
Right. Well, the mom comes out and she fires off around and they're like, you wouldn't shoot us. And she's like, maybe I won't. Maybe I will. We just don't know. And, she cocks her gun or whatever. And then they fucking leave. It's like, dude, you don't trust staying around when the mom is already pissed off enough to laugh and giggle while she's doing it. Get the fuck out of the house.
And these guys are pissed because throughout the film, he realizes and ends up finding out that in order for him to survive long enough to make it to prom with Missy, because that's his one desire, he actually has to consume the flesh of the living in order to sustain his body. So he nearly takes a bite out of his best friend's arm, who freaks the fuck out in front of the whole school. But to his credit, comes back and continues to support Johnny, even as so far as to make suggestions on who he should be eating next.
I want to get back to that in a second, but I also want to talk about the scene that he does try to bite Eddie's arm, and they're having lunch, and this is where Johnny kind of figures out he can't eat regular food anymore. He's like, well, buddy, if you don't want it, I'll take it. And so he's scooping his mashed potatoes on the plate, and it's like an overhead shot. I have never in my life seen somebody think for one moment that they can slice into a very overly fried chicken nugget with a plastic fucking fork.
Yeah, we were like, that's not fucking working, buddy.
It was only set up so that Johnny would be like, oh, fuck yeah, it's an arm.
Licking his lips, reaching over, and just...
He's like, you just stay the hell away from my arm, buddy. And he gets up and fucking leaves. But, so he has fantasies about eating one of the hunters that came after him in a very funny dream sequence where he gets all like very fat and sloshy, liquid filled and everything.
From munching all that flesh.
And the guy's talking shit to him the whole fucking time, no matter like how much of him he's eaten. And then the mom and dad have gone and like grabbed a body from the morgue, or they kidnapped. They actually wound up kidnapping like the little kid of the guy that was
the hunter. That's right. Was it like Chuck Jr. or something like that? Yeah. Oh, that was too funny. Mom, like I said, mom is so supportive. She just wants her beautiful son to, have a healthy appetite.
Right. Well, I mean, again, like finding out that Johnny is actually about to have like a lot of his self like harvested by the doctor who was supposed to be helping him. The doctor's like, oh man, we can make a fortune on this guy's skin and all this other shit. So they're trying to like screw Johnny over basically
by reverse engineering zombie flesh.
Yeah. And then, long story short, we finally make it around to prom, but not before Philip Seymour Hoffman's character axes himself in the fucking head, which becomes the basis of like who Johnny eats to stay alive. He's like, you ate Chuck.
And like, I love Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance in this movie. I was rolling laughing every single time his character opened his mouth to speak, from the like funny accent and just the voice that he used for him to the actual character itself just being a ridiculous, overblown bully. And Johnny finally getting to get his little revenge by literally eating the stomach out of him after he accidentally axes himself it came full circle. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious. But basically what happens is like there's a giant mob in town that chases Johnny back to the cemetery, and like they're just going to put him out of his misery until basically Eddie, his parents, and then Missy all show up and defend him. And they eventually convince the town that like, no, man, like he genuinely likes her and he wants to just be a normal kid or whatever.
Yeah, even Missy was like, he died for me. He came back for me and he ate a person for me. Dad, would you do that? And Dad's like, probably not. Like, okay, Dad, thank you. First of all, parent of the year. Fucking asshole.
It's just the humor. It's so absurd. I love it.
So great. I enjoyed it so much. I thought everybody did a great job. Even like the like little tiny bits of gore and stuff I thought were hysterical. The fucking head on the skeleton after he picked the guy clean. That cracked me up. I loved it.
God, it was so good.
But yeah, the town basically comes around to like, oh, I guess like he really does like love her and we can't get in the way of true love. So off to the prom with you kids, and they get a police escort all the way there.
It's kind of sad, though, because there was a gift that Johnny had meant to give Missy at her 5th birthday party that he chickened out on that he finally gives to her, and it's a silver heart-shaped locket with photos of them as kids. And it's honestly, like, really sweet.
It's very touching, and you can tell it means a lot to Missy when she opens it up.
Right. And that's what's kind of sad is, like, she wears it with her dress to prom and everything. First of all, they were trying to force her to go with Buck, who was like the dude that she was dating that she broke up with and all this other shit like that, who was a massive dick.
Bully jock.
Yeah. But she winds up going with Johnny and they have their dance, but he dies. Like he finally like decays up to where he dies right there in the middle of the gym floor, and she puts that necklace around him. Well, he goes to heaven just to find out that the gatekeeper at heaven was like, he's like, hey, come here. He's just like waving him over. He's like, it seems we made a mistake. You weren't actually supposed to die right here. See, the guy that comes in to rob the place is supposed to slip on the coffee that gets spilled on the floor. And we messed up. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean, whoopsie? And he was like, we would have fixed it sooner, but you started walking around and you became a zombie. He's like, I didn't know I was supposed to come here.
I didn't plan this.
Right. So he's like, it's time for you to go. And he's like, go where? He's like, go where you were meant to go, Johnny Dingle. So Johnny walks through the gates of heaven, but he appears back in the convenience store from the beginning of the movie. And this time he kind of knows what's up. Well, the same actual shit happens and he still gets shot. But then the robber falls over and knocks the coffee over. But in a really humorous moment, he's just like, oh, now he spills the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out that when he went back, he still has the necklace that he made for Missy around his neck because she put it around his neck when he died. So time loop, he comes back. That actually wound up saving him because that's what the bullet hits. And then that's how Missy finds the locket. And that's when he asks her to prom.
She realizes that she loves that, like he's got true feelings for her.
Right. So we do get a happy ending to the film. And he has a voiceover where he was just like, yeah, the only thing I'd have done different is I would have eaten Buck.
Which is just a nice little cherry on top there.
Yeah. And I mean, that's pretty much My Boyfriend's Back. It's worth checking out if you can find it, I mean, like I said, it's a 33-year-old movie. It didn't perform very well at the box office. It got a lot of negative reviews, but I know that a lot of folks that have seen this that I know personally actually quite enjoyed it.
It was goofy fun, and sometimes that's all I want out of my entertainment. And I do want to say one thing, like, I love that even though Johnny was given a second chance and could have avoided getting shot in the chest again, he still chose to take that bullet, not even knowing the locket was there. And this throws back to a scene that happens right at the beginning of the movie where they're showing Johnny in a classroom, and the teacher asks, "What is a hero?" Right? And then the kid in the front row, kind of like a nerdy type kid, talking about Jane Goodall, which love her, talks about how heroes are born of special circumstances. And that's kind of exactly what Johnny went through. And in the end, he still chose to be a hero after his crazy circumstances. And I just love how it came full circle like that.
I would say it's not a great movie, but it's not awful. You know,
good.
It's easily like a C-, B+ grade here.
Well, I mean, speaking of grades, if you're giving it the good old 1 out of 5, what would you throw it?
It's a 2.5 easily. It's not, like I said, it's not the greatest and it's not the worst. You know, it's a very middle of the road kind of movie for me. I would watch it. You know, if it's on, I'm going to watch it. It's not something I go out of my way to watch, but whenever I remember and I go to watch it, it's charming every time and I never get tired of it.
That's a great word for it, charming. For me, it rests closer to like a 2.8. Like, I really got a kick. Like, I needed a movie like that. Haven't watched a good little, you know, goofy ass fucking comedy in a while, and that really suited me. So I don't know, it just hit me a little bit differently, and I'm happy with it. I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah, me too. So again, everybody out there, if you'd like to check this movie out, definitely seek it out. I believe it might be behind a paywall on Amazon. I'm not certain. We own a copy ourselves, so it's not very hard for us to pop this in and watch it. However, if you can find a physical copy, definitely do it. And with that being said, for past, present, and future episodes of Cult Macabre, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. You can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a rating or leave comments on individual episodes on Spotify. And if you're listening to this episode on our YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell for notifications for future episodes, leaving a like on this video, or leaving us a comment down below. Any engagement helps. And if you'd like to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, all of this information can be found in our Linktree link in the show notes below.
So if you'd like to join us for more of pop culture's dark side, sign the black book and join the cult. I'm Lee.
And I'm Richie.
We'll see you next time.